NLA. This is the NLA.
Yeah, before we hop into this, I'd love to be able to introduce you a little bit. But for anybody who hasn't been following the NLA or Desi himself, like tell everybody what are the three things we should know about you before we hop into it? Like, who do you play for? What do you do? And what's your tie to the lacrosse community, man? Like, you've done a lot of stuff, but what are the big three if you're going to introduce yourself to a new person?
Big three. I mean, I'm a graduate from Limestone University and Onondaga Community College. Had a good time there. I mean, both unbelievable programs and experiences. Two, I'm the head coach of the Westtown School right outside of Westchester, PA. Named one of the most diverse programs in the United States. And three, play for the Marauders LC. M's up.
Hey, let's do it. All right, cool. Great introduction. Awesome, man. So overall, what y'all need to know is one, I think sometimes he knows what he's talking about. He's kind of okay at lacrosse, and man, just got to have a lot of information that we're going to love to go over. Before I hop into it, a few of you may not know me, or you may not have seen my page, but yeah, my name's Zoe. I string sticks goodly, and for some reason, people keep paying me money to do it. So hey, if y'all need to follow me, South City Strings. I'm out of the Mountain West, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. Before we get into this, I should preface, y'all, I want to get into more about your experience with the lacrosse community, how you've kind of been into it. And, you know, this is kind of a given, but there's a perception about lacrosse it being kind of mute on the kind of individual who's involved with it. So it's really cool to see an individual like you who's gone to very storied programs, been involved with such a competitive and high level in the sport, and somebody like yourself who's been able to bring other individuals who look a little bit more like you and me into it. So I really want to dive into that mainly. And to start with, I'd love for you to be able to explain a little bit more about how'd you get into lacrosse? Because like I said, it's not a stereotypical thing for individuals who look like us to get into it. It's becoming more prevalent now, but yeah, how'd you get into it? What made you fall in love with the sport, and why are you still doing it to this day?
Me growing up in Long Island, it is kind of the precedent sport in that whole community. I mean, everybody wants to be a lacrosse player. Me, I was a little bit more diverse in my athletics. Like I did football, I was a gymnast, and I did lacrosse. My older brother, Lou, he was a standout lacrosse player for Sachem High School, and I kind of fell into his kind of wake and took to lacrosse over football. So I separated myself there, and it was probably my head coach, Rick Mercurio. He's actually in the Long Island Hall of Fame. Great guy, still heavily involved in the game. He really kind of took myself and even my brother under his wing growing up through the ranks, and really taught me how to play the game and deal with the adversity that, you know, kind of was in the game, and still growing up in the community, being the only colored kid on the team. So he taught me how to deal with problems properly. He did a lot for us growing up. And yeah, I mean, I have to attribute my love for the game between Coach Mercurio and my brother.
That is fantastic. So in that little intro, like what you just explained to me, there's like 3 points that really stick out to me, and that I'd love to really go a little bit deeper into. For you being like right now, being a part of such a storied program and having that diversity going, for one, would you say your love for coaching lacrosse and being able to participate as a coach, did that really stem from growing up with such a great role model in the sport? Or was it just kind of a natural progression for you coming from playing and becoming a coach? Or did you always know you wanted to be a coach? So did it just kind of develop? Or was it always just a drive like in you since you met your coach at such a young age?
I think it was really connecting once I got into college. There was a young man from Long Island that reached out to me, just lost, didn't really know what to do, didn't have that kind of support that I did. And kind of going through the ranks, he was in a not as prestige program as I was, really stellar athlete. I mean, the kid ended up playing Division I lacrosse.
Yeah.
He had no direction. He didn't know, or nobody had the opportunity to kind of guide him through the process, what you're supposed to be doing, like, and give him that support. As he kind of came up through the ranks, did his own thing, and did all the right moves that he needed to do to make sure he separated himself from everybody else in the sport. right then and there, I felt like I was like, this is something that I would love to do for the rest of my life and really concentrate on kids in general. Obviously, I mean, there's always a soft spot for a kid coming up through the ranks that's kind of looks like me, but kids in general, being able to send them to the next level is something I fell in love with.
That is phenomenal. And kind of a secondary point for you. So a common, very common thing that even I see out west, and completely different spheres of lacrosse and how it's played in community wise. But one big thing that's kind of hard to be able to include, more individuals, even like kids who are like, who don't look like us or like predominantly from areas that like cross would be more popular. It's hard for kids to like cross over from, say football or soccer, or like you said, you were a multi-sport athlete. But for you, was it hard to transition from, being a storied like football player, being a gymnast? Was it hard to be able to transition to lacrosse? Because it's such a different sport. And like you said, for you, you weren't very, there wasn't a lot of kids who could probably identify with you. So was that a hard transition for you?
Yeah, it definitely was a hard transition jumping from sport to sport because the cultures in each sport has a different feel to it. I mean, football program, there was a couple kids that looked like me, so it was a little different. I mean, it's a little bit more accepted in certain circles. With the perception of lacrosse, it takes on a different view, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And it was very selective with people like myself coming through the ranks, and I was the only one. Gymnastics, there was multiple guys that state champions that I competed with that were of color and diverse backgrounds. And it was really cool going into the lacrosse ranks. It was a little bit different.
Excellent. Now, kind of to tie these two questions together that I've had for you, being that athlete who was trying to come up and find find a spot in the community and find a way to make lacrosse be something you could really love and participate in and not feel like you're out of place. And now being in the position to be a coach, you're trying to do the same thing that a coach did for you way back when. What is your strategy to do that? Because the culture is changing, but for you kind of are a little bit more in touch with the community and how it's changed. So is it a struggle still to try and convince kids to become a lacrosse player? Because if you're a good football player, you probably want to keep being a good football player, and you probably don't want to jump ship to play a sport that A, you don't know, and B, you don't feel comfortable being a part of sometimes. So for you, has that been hard? Have you learned anything from being an athlete now to a coach? Like, what's your strategy for that?
It's a very hands-on strategy, because even when we're
elaborate on that.
Yeah. Even when we're versing other teams, whether it's in high school, club ball, anything across the way, there's always that nod of appreciation. Hey, you had a really good game. Make sure you keep going. If you ever need anything, kind of getting that kid that comfortable feeling. If I'm seeing a kid that's standing out on the football field, I have no problem going over and talking to the parents, be like, the opportunity for lacrosse is far superior if you're not that 1% in the football ranks. They're just to let them know that there is other options out there, and their athletic ability would translate so much smoothly than they would probably think.
Phenomenal. So for you, with your mission statement, so this is a great question that I love hearing from coaches. If you had to break down your mission statement for each kid. So some coaches I want to get my kids to college. Some kids are I want to be able to get them into, a good private, or I just want my kids to feel to succeed academically, athletically in the classroom. For you, what's your mission statement? If I was a parent, you were trying to convince my kid to jump ship, because I ran track from 5th grade all until the junior year of high school. And I coached, I did privates, the whole nine. For me, it was kind of easy because it was self-motivated for me to jump into lacrosse. But if you were a parent coming up to me, what would your mission statement be to that parent to try and convince me to let my kid hop into a world I know nothing about and they sure as heck don't either?
My mission statement would be, it's something that you can fall in love with, and there isn't a certain type of strength and ability that would kind of separate him. You can be slow, you can be big, you can be fast, you can be anything in between. And the opportunity to get to that next level of lacrosse, meaning college, get a good education that you might not have the access to otherwise. That's always my big pushing point, because kids finishing school, lacrosse only goes so far, but being able to get that opportunity to get somewhere you might not possibly have been able to get to is kind of my goal. Making sure kids finish their degree, they take education seriously for life after lacrosse, and any sport in general.
Phenomenal. Now, a very important question. If you were going to describe lacrosse in one word, what word did you use to describe lacrosse?
Ooh, that's a good one. One word I'd use to describe lacrosse is, well, for me,
For you, if you were going to, if a kid's like, what is lacrosse? Like, you could say fun. Sure.
yeah,
A lot of stuff's fun. You can say fast. Sure. I'm fast. But if you describe it, what would it be?
my second home. Home.
Like, oh, home. Ooh. Elaborate on that. Why home? What about it?
I could
That's
have the best day of my life. I can have the worst day of my life. If I can end it in a warm summer day in an open field with a 6x6 and a couple bucket of balls, that's my home. That's my escape.
oh, phenomenal. That not the answer I was expecting, but an answer more than happy to accept. That is phenomenal. All right. Now, if you, and again, talk to me like I'm just some kid you picked up on the football field, right? If you were just going to try and sell me on lacrosse, and for you, you probably had to go through this, and you have to go through it. Me as a coach, every single day with my kids and trying to get new kids on. If you were going to explain lacrosse to someone who has no frame of reference to hockey or lacrosse or field hockey, anything like that, how would you explain it? What would lacrosse be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say
Hey, man,
somebody has no background in lacrosse.
no background, zero, zip.
So if I'm recruiting a football player and I'm seeing him say he's a running back, I was like, hey,
Okay.
you want to be a better running back? This would transition into that. This would give you skills that you don't currently have, and it would work on your diversity and your movements and things like that to kind of segue them over to even try the sport. I mean, it's not too different from basketball, just to get a foot in the door. To get a kid to fall in love with lacrosse isn't hard once they do it, especially those football kids.
Yeah. What you tell them, like, hey, do you like hitting kids? Yeah. Do you want to beat them with a metal stick? Uh-huh. And I'll give you a cool spirit pack. Oh, they're in. Like, game over. All right. Now, when it comes down to it, you being a lacrosse player and coming through, there's a lot of nuance to lacrosse. You know, there's like any other sport. There's club, there's college, there's high school, there's intercollegiate, there's pickup, there's, you know, all different facets. But for lacrosse and for you, what's the part you love the most? Because I'm going to be honest, me playing for as long as I have and getting to participate, like if it comes down to it, my favorite part of lacrosse is stringing and coaching. You know, I love lacrosse, but playing isn't my favorite thing. What's that facet about lacrosse that keeps you coming back?
It would probably be my connection to the community, like kids that
Okay.
I've seen in college coming back, that kid that probably wouldn't have gotten the opportunity, that one kid that you made that direct difference in, that comes back, that stays involved, especially being an alumni, watching him succeed. That's
Yeah.
that coaching part of me. Just that one kid, I could coach 100 different kids, and that one kid to succeed and something that he wouldn't have had the opportunity to, just to know that I made the difference, that connection, there's nothing like it for me.
Excellent. And for you, breaking that down into a more specific notion, because as much as you love the sport, and I can feel the love for that and the passion, everybody has days. Like, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. You can get fed up with your job, coaching, you know, just being around your team. On those days that you just feel like you're at the end of your rope and you just don't know, like, why am I doing this? What's that one thing you think of? Like, what is it? A memory? Is it a notion? Is it something a coach said to you? What's that one thing that pops in your head that keeps you going into lacrosse?
Yeah, that would have to be something a coach said to me,
What
because
would
I
that
remember
be?
it was my junior year of high school, Coach Mercurio, of course.
Yep.
We lost to Ward Melville in the early season game. I was devastated just because that's like the top of the top in Long Island. Us and Ward Melville, that used to be the rival of Long Island. That was,
If there was a team you wanted to play, it was them, right?
yes.
So going it. So for more staging before we get to that point, like, do you feel like before you got into this game, like you have a great relationship with your coach, you're probably putting in the hours, you're getting it done. Before you went into this game, did you feel as if you were in a position to beat them?
Yes.
So like frustrations were high going into this. Excellent. What did he say to you that got you to go? Because I've felt a position like that where you feel as if you should. Oh, you're laughing now, so it's fresh memory. All right. What did coach say to you that changed your perspective about that situation?
2 minutes left at the end of the game. Their All-American Pole blew by him, one-on-one with the goalie. down by 1. I sail it wide. They go down, hold it the rest of the way. So you want to talk about a bad day? That's a bad day. He brings me to the side. He's like, you don't look like you're having fun. I'm like, we just lost probably the biggest game in our regular season schedule. I'm not having fun. And in his little way, his little sarcastic way, he's like, how many goals you have? I was like, a couple, whatever it was. And he's like, how many ground balls you had? I was like, a couple. He was like, that's great. He's like, how many times did you, celebrate with your teammates? I'm like, a lot. I mean, those goals that we scored are hype. He's like, how many times did you feel good about something that happened on the field? I'm like, decent amount this game, until the end, obviously. And he's like, this game, there's going to be wins and losses. The moments that are in between the games are the moments that are going to keep you coming back. The moments that the little celebrations, you can't focus on the end of the loss. Losses happen, especially against good teams. He's like, the little battles that you win along the way are the things that you got to work on. He's like, if you work off of those, I guarantee you, if you use the same thing in life, that bad things are going to happen. It's okay. Celebrate those little wins along the way, because at the end of the day, it's not the end result that matters. Nobody's going to nobody cares other than the players that were playing that game, that we lost that game 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. He's like, but you remember the celebrations, you remember the moments, and you remember everything else along the way. So that's how I treat all my teams, because the memories that you make every season, every practice, everything that's along the way, you lose a big championship, you got to focus on the other stuff that kind of got you to that point. So that's a big thing that I try to emphasize in my teams and really push that, enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Love that. So if you're going to sum that story up, would you say enjoy the ride is the biggest lesson that you've learned through your experience?
Absolutely.
Great. One last more serious question, then we have some other stuff going up. But for you, like, if we consolidate a lot of this conversation, to me, it sounds like it comes back to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Because, you loved the sport you did growing up, but there's probably a reason you had invested 110% of yourself into a new sport, not knowing exactly what you were expecting. You probably loved it and enjoyed the ride of it more than you enjoyed football, more than you enjoyed gymnastics, right? Now for you, being a coach and being in the position of the person that changed your life to come be a part of, the lacrosse world.
Yeah.
How do you instill enjoying the ride into your players? Because it's easier said than done. Because losing sucks. Nobody likes losing. Running suicides in the snow sucks. Running Indian runs because, somebody didn't make grades and y'all are a team, so you're running it with them, sucks. But at the end of the day, how do you instill enjoying the ride? How do you make it a brotherhood? So, after all that sucks, after your senior and yet the lights go off for that last time you're off the field and you realize, oh crap, it went by way faster than expected. How do you make the boys remember, I loved every second of this and I would do anything to try and get it back?
The biggest philosophy that I have as coach, especially a head coach when it's my program, the highs are going to be high.
Highs are going to be high.
I am going to be hard on you. I am going to push you. I am going to beat you down sometimes, and I'm going to bring you up. But when you do that, you execute, times are going well, you'll know it. And I'll make that memorable. I'll be just as hype as the rest of the players on the field, whether it's in practice or whatnot, even if I'm suiting up, beating up on the high school kids a little bit, or, they're trying to beat up on me. I make it fun for them. And
keyword trying. Desi's like, oh. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. We make the highs. We make them memorable so that all the stuff that we had to do to get there is appreciated.
Phenomenal. And Coach, that is my line of serious questioning. Thank you for answering. And your passion for the game, I could feel it all the way on the freaking other side of the country at elevations greater than I don't even freaking know. But hey, love it. But now for some fun stuff. Coach, growing up, everybody had that first stick. Everybody had a first stick. Mine was a Rabel 2 on the heaviest metal shaft you will ever see. White leathers, pink cross lacing. Thing had the worst whip in the freaking world. I had no idea what it was. I got it from a store called DI. It's like a thrift store over here. Freaking love that thing. That was my first stick. I have the fondest memories of that bad boy. Learned how to string on it. For you, what's your first stick? It's a serious question, Coach.
I'm gonna date myself here. Excalibur 2. It was called X2. It came out in like 2001, 2000. My brother was playing for Long Island University at the time, and he got, I think, 3 new sticks. One of those bad boys became mine immediately. He didn't know about it, but
Oh, there it is. I knew exactly what you were going to say. I'm like, there's no freaking way your brother just added it. Homie went into his gear bag, was just like, I'm just going to borrow this. 20 years later, still has it. Excellent. That was your first stick. Okay. An X2. Now the question, Coach. This is a very serious question. I need you to answer me truthfully here. Who's your favorite team from growing up? Now, I'm not talking about nowadays with any other NLA, PLL. I don't care. Growing up, who was your go-to team? If you heard there was a game to watch, merch to buy, player to get a signature from, who was your go-to growing up?
Hughes all day.
Oh, okay. Okay. And now, if you had a poster on your wall right now, you get anything framed from any player and you get it signed up, which player would you have hanging up right behind you right now for this interview?
Will Barrow.
Well, okay. Why? That's not an answer I was expecting. So you have to back yourself up on that one.
Will was one of my boys. Hell of a player. He's that guy when things are going wrong that had that ability to turn around a team. He made statements without doing anything but his job. He was a silent killer. He was outstanding athlete, awesome person, and definitely changed the game of lacrosse for me for a little bit.
Excellent. Funny story. So if I was going to pick one, I was honestly expecting, I don't know. I think I might be a little biased, but the first lacrosse player that I ever really saw that, looked like me and you was Chaz Woodson. And let me tell you, when I being a track kid and battling speed above all else, watching that split dodge behind X and dive. Oh, you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, High Machine. Yeah, that for me is like, that was the catalyst player for me. That's when I was like, oh, lacrosse isn't just an East bench kid sport, right? For you, what clip? Because for me, it was split dodge behind X, diving goal, and Chad just stands up, dunk like 3-point on that kid's head. Oh, that made lacrosse cool for me. For you, and that transitional period before you were sure about lacrosse, what clip just made you be like, oh, shoot, I'm on the field tonight?
I mean, that's a tough one. I'd have to say, because I'm a lot older than you, so we only get like 2 games a year, the Final Four and the championship.
Okay, so, what was it?
I would have to say, I think it was like 2001 or 2 championship with the Powells. Mikey Powell was making that defenseman. I think it was a UMass defenseman fall behind X and dunking in on him. I've never seen movement like that in person before then.
Oh, no. Kids, if you don't know the clip this man is talking about, easily the most disgusting and disrespectful thing I have ever seen. Up there with the Chaz. If you don't know what we're talking about, we'll leave it in the description. Y'all have some film study. You better get on that. For you, what is your grail piece of equipment? It can be new, old. If you like money, no object. What piece of it can even be in hell from a player. Do you get anything hung up on your wall? What would it be?
I used the same stick until 2000, from probably like 2003 to 2010, and it was the original Evolution, Warrior Evolution.
An OG Evo, black or white?
Oh, white, always.
Always. Ooh, okay. Always. My bad, Coach. Okay, I see you. What shaft are you rocking on that bad boy? A serious question. There is a wrong answer.
I had a Titan Classic growing up.
That is the only acceptable answer to be paired with an OG Evo. I'm a lot younger than you, but there is a right and wrong answer. Okay. Now, if you're stringing a pocket and you're going to get a pocket for your freshman right off the right perfect, what is it? Mid, low, low, high? Lots of lip, lots of hold. What are you looking for?
Boxer field.
Okay, Coach. I'll give you a box. Give me your box answer. Minimum of 16 shooters, I'm guessing, right?
Box, I would have to say, would be, obviously my Evo, mid to high. really tight channel and making sure I have a decent amount of whip in there, but that quick release.
Okay. Very nice. Acceptable answer. Now for field, what you rocking?
Oh, I'm going low all day.
Low all day?
All
All
day.
day?
All day.
Okay, you're standing by that, sir. If I'm sending you one, yeah, that's what you're getting. All right, low all day. What had? Okay, now current question. Being in the modern game, I can see you being an old head and rocking. No offense, and I say that with love and respect. But right now, what is your current weapon of choice? What are you using?
The Evo QX offense head with all Dragonfly. I forget what number it is, whatever the most recent Dragonfly shaft is out there. That's the only one that's able to kind of withstand the cross check.
So there's me being the gearhead I am, it's a Pro Selector Elite. And I'm assuming with how you're playing, you probably got the select because homie isn't throwing checks like that. Okay, left bench doesn't take too many checks. I'm kidding, coach. Now, if I was going to open your gear bag right now, what gloves, elbows, and cleats would I find? This is a serious question.
Oof. See, if you watch my Instagram, every once in a while I do my own custom cleats and they're always Nike. So
always, what model?
Right now.
Are you a Vapor brother?
Vapor Pro, yeah.
Let's freaking go. Man of fine taste.
But yeah, Vapor Pro cleats. I got Epic setup everywhere else. I mean, rib pads, slash guard, arm pads with the slash guard built into them, and the Elite gloves.
Manson knows what's up. Okay, sick. Now, before a game, what are your top 3 songs to hype up? What's that? Everyone says they have a playlist, but it's like one of 3 songs. What are those 3 songs? No particular order.
All right, this is I'll probably catch some heat for this one. Nas Ether.
Okay, acceptable.
The second one I'd have to say is Many Men.
Beyonce.
No Princess
okay.
Betty.
All right, Many Men.
Many Men by 50. And then last, this one's a little bit off key. It's Respect My Conglomerate by Busta Rhymes. Again, no kid they're 20 years old might know any of those songs, but
okay. Many Men goes crazy. Granted, I did run track with an old head, so love him to death. So it was only acceptable that I was familiar with this or I was running fitties. You know the drill. All right. Okay. Now for you. After game meal, where are you going? What are you cooking? Who's cooking it for you? What? Everyone has that one thing that after you just hits right in the soul. What you getting?
Oof. Man, it's changed. If I'm home, I'm going straight up to the bodega right up the road, getting my empanadas, tostones, acapoya, getting my Spanish rice and beans. That's my
acceptable. Now, if you're at home and you're after the game, it's cold, you just want to get done and out, get home. What's the first thing you're doing after a game? Some people it's throw on a video game. Some people watch film right after. Some people, shower, hit the sack. What's your post-game ritual if you're burnt out after a game?
If I'm burnt out after a game, had a rough one, or just exhausted, I pump a liquid IV in. I'll sit down. I'll go to my scotch cabinet and have a stiff one. I mean, for me, my post-game drink is called Oban. Have a nice little order. That puts me down, relaxes me for the rest of the night, watch a movie and chill out.
And then homie wakes up fully dressed in the same chair he sat down in next day. All right, sick. Now, rapid fire questions.
All right.
And I need you, this is straight honesty. I'll know if you're lying. The people will too.
All right.
Greatest player of all time.
Oof. Kyle Harrison.
Nice. Now, what era, Kyle Harrison?
You
thought I could. Okay. Now, what's that? What's that?
Shot was quicker. He was a little bit more explosive. The way he went down the alley, right to left to right, didn't matter. His shot selection was way better. It was less flash, more work, and he did both sides of the ball as well as face off, played defense and offense.
All right. Best uniforms of all time, college, pro, or other.
Oh, that was easy. The Hopkins 2009 with the black and baby blues coming down the side. Those are still my favorite to this day.
Clean. Okay, that is an acceptable answer. Now, if you could go back and you could play for, I know you loved your time at Limestone. I know you loved your collegiate experience. But if you were given the opportunity, not knowing what you know now, not having the experience you had, what was that growing up? What was the school you wanted to go to? Every kid has either I want to go to Duke. Every kid, I want to go to Stony Brook. What was that school for you that you just needed to go to if you could?
Syracuse.
Hughes. Okay, orange kid myself. Okay, I see you. Now, would you prefer a new case of lacrosse balls, beautiful pearls, or would you prefer to find a freshly painted grass field that's fresh cut? Like if you could have one or the other at practice, playing on grass is a spiritual experience. Would you prefer a new case of balls or a freshly painted cut field to play on?
Oh, new case of balls all day.
New case of balls are really? Oh, I was really trying to sell the grass. Oh, spiritual experience. I love playing on grass.
Me too.
Okay.
There's nothing like it, but I grew up in a lot of coaches that believed there was no shiners. So I'm a little haunted.
Still dealing with PTSD from that experience.
Absolutely.
Now, games at night, under the lights, whole stadium filled out, or midday games, bluebird skies.
Oh, all day, night. Love night games. The energy.
Night games.
Yeah.
Night games. Okay. I'm an acceptable answer. Okay. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying. Okay. Now, what is your go-to team meal? Like if you're going with your boys before a game, what are you guys going to eat as a team, as a group?
Oh, Chipotle.
Oh, okay, coach. You treat them good. They eating good out there.
Yeah.
Good. Now, if you were going to get a donation of any piece of equipment, what would you want for your team? Says a lot about a coach.
Gloves.
Gloves? Okay, this is coming.
Yeah.
This is coming from the 18-year-old who's a player. No helmets, no love for the boys.
No buckets. Like if I'm getting donated things, gloves are the things that we go through the most, especially the guys who play for me because they're shooting, they're ripping, they're doing what they need to do.
Humble flex, I accept it. If you could meet any lacrosse legend, who would it be? Like to have a sit-down conversation about coaching, lacrosse, their experience.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown. Okay. What's the first question you would ask Jim Brown?
I want to know what his experience was like at Syracuse firsthand. The stuff that you don't hear about.
Okay. Simple answer. If you guys could play any team from the nation, excluding teams you have on your schedule, because I know you well enough to know you have like your sights set out on a few teams out there. Any team from the nation that isn't on your schedule, which team would you play and why?
In the nation?
In the nation. It could be a Cali team like Torrey Pines. It could be all the way down in freaking Texas. I don't care.
Would like to go back and play my alma mater, Sachem High School. That's one thing that I have. Yeah, even though that they're not like a huge powerhouse right now, they have some solid athletes. Bringing it back home for me would be special.
Oh, so you just want to run their pockets because of the PTSD and suicide you're feeling. All right. Okay. You're trying to make it sound like you have a connection. You love it. No, we know what's up. You can't lie to me. Now, if you could play on any field with your team, say it's semis or state championship, and you guys could play on any field, where would it be?
Carrier Dome.
Carrier Dome. Okay. I was expecting Homewood Field. I don't know why. I just feel like you can love that experience. Carrier Dome. Okay. And now, for the all-important question, go-to move. If you know you've got this defender beat and that man is going to be put on a t-shirt tonight and he's going to retire his cleats after getting destroyed, what's your go-to?
I'm a hard dip dodge, top side shoulder. My shoulder is going through his, and he's going to end up on the floor.
Oh, so you want to send him to the ER. Good. Okay. Okay, Desi. Now, Desi, when you're last imparting of wisdom, what's lacrosse to you? Like, generally, I know you said it's home, and I know we got the one-liner, but if you just had to describe what is lacrosse to you, like, in essence, at the end of the day, what is it?
Oof. Hit me with the hard one at the end here.
I tricked you into a little sense of security.
Yeah. Lacrosse to me is, man, it really is. It's a lot of things. It's that de-stressor. It's that security. It's something that's always been there for me, whether hard times are, great times, hard times. It seemed a lot of good things in my life always happened around it. So if I had to put like one phrase, what lacrosse is to me, it's just, that's where that home comes in. It's hard to say anything else.
Excellent. Desi, I'm super happy we were able to find some time for you. I'm stoked you're able to play and just be a part of this community together. I know we never really crossed the axes until now, but looking forward to what the future brings for you with the Marauders down the line for your team, or for you as an individual. It's been phenomenal being able to talk to you, and imparting some wisdom on me. I know I got a little bit of a listening list now for pregame, and I got to try out some stuff that you got going. But anything else you want to impart on anybody? Last finishing words.
Finishing words. I mean, the community is really picking up around some of the things that have been going on. And I really do think things like NLA, a lot of the different entities out there that are really trying to make a difference, keep going. Hats off to all of you. I don't care if you're small, big, or anywhere in between. Keep going.
Excellent. Now, the question people want to know. Where should they follow you?
Instagram is probably my most active. Coach Desi 23.
Down in the description, y'all. Follow the man. Hit him up with any questions you have. He's a phenomenal coach. I'm actually going to have some questions for him later. Talk about some teams. And Desi, super stoked we were able to hop on together. We got to get you out west so you can come play my team, eh?
Oh, absolutely. We're planning on it next year.
All right, great. We'll get you on the schedule.
Yeah.
Desi, signing off, man. Super stoked we found some time.
It was a pleasure.